Hi there. I want to tell you a story about a man named Victor. Victor considered himself calm, rational, and fair, especially when no one disagreed with him. But the moment someone failed to reply to his message, interrupted him, or looked at him with insufficient respect, Victor immediately understood the whole truth about that person. He is ignoring me. She is trying to humiliate me. They think I am an idiot. Victor's brain needed about 1.5 seconds to investigate the case, identify the suspect, deliver the verdict, and mentally carry out the sentence. Remarkable efficiency. The police could learn from him. One morning, Victor was driving to work. Suddenly, another car cut in front of him. The driver did not even use a turn signal. To an ordinary person, this might have looked like carelessness. But Victor understood immediately. This was a personal attack. The other driver had woken up, eaten breakfast, looked in the mirror, and said, "Today I will find Victor and ruin his morning." Victor hit the horn. Then he hit it again. Then he added a gesture that is not taught in driving school, yet is somehow understood in every country on earth. A few seconds later, the cars went their separate ways. The driver disappeared. The anger stayed. Victor arrived at work and kept replaying the incident in his head. He imagined catching up with the offender, delivering the perfect speech, and winning an argument that existed only in his imagination. A colleague said, "Good morning," but Victor heard, "I can see that you look terrible again today." His boss wrote, "Come see me when you have a moment." Victor read, "We have suspected for a long time that you are useless. Now we have proof." A woman he knew did not reply to his message for 2 hours. Victor decided she had lost interest in him, found someone else, and was already laughing at his photos with all her friends. In reality, she was asleep. But sleep is too boring an explanation. The brain prefers drama. The problem was not that Victor was stupid. The problem was that he was human. Our brains do not show us reality exactly as it is. They show us their own version of reality. A few facts, a few memories, a few fears, a couple of old wounds, and the movie is ready. The brain wrote the script, directed the film, played the leading role, and gave itself 5 stars. We rarely see another person's true intentions. We see their action, and then we invent the explanation. Someone does not say hello. Maybe they are arrogant. Or maybe they did not notice you. Maybe they did not sleep all night. Maybe they are dealing with something serious. Or maybe they are wondering whether they left the iron on at home and are already imagining the fire, the divorce, and the bankruptcy. But the brain usually chooses the explanation that is about us, because each of us is the main character in our own movie, and a supporting character in everyone else's. One day, Victor had an argument with his girlfriend. She said, "You do not understand me." Victor replied, "I understand you perfectly." That was his first mistake. When someone says they do not feel understood, the worst way to help is to tell them they are feeling their own feelings incorrectly. They were arguing about respect. Victor believed respect meant not contradicting him in front of other people. She believed respect meant listening to her opinion, even when he disagreed with it. They were using the same word, but they were imagining completely different things. This happens all the time. For one person, love means care and constant attention. For another, love means freedom and the absence of control. For one person, honesty means saying everything directly. For another, it means not using the truth as a weapon. For one person, support means immediately giving advice. For another, it means simply staying nearby and keeping your mouth shut for at least 2 minutes. We use the same words, but every person carries a different dictionary inside. So sometimes 2 opinions are not arguing. 2 different meanings of the same word are arguing. During the argument, Victor felt anger. First, tension appeared in his stomach. Then, his shoulders tightened. His breathing became faster. But Victor did not notice any of that. He noticed only one thought. I am being attacked. And when the brain decides we are under attack, it offers an ancient program. Fight, run, or write a message 3 screens long that you will regret tomorrow. Anger itself is not evil. Anger is a signal. It may mean, my boundaries are being crossed. I am hurt. I am afraid of losing control. I do not feel heard. The trouble begins when the signal becomes an order. Feeling anger is normal. Destroying a relationship because of 5 minutes of anger is not a very good investment strategy. That day, Victor did something he had always considered a sign of weakness. He stopped talking. Not because he had lost, but because he realized that one more sentence and the only winner in the argument would be a couples therapist. He said, "I am angry right now, and I may say something I regret. Let us take a 10-minute break." This is not a magic phrase, but it gives the brain time to leave attack mode. When anger rises, you do not have to make decisions immediately. First, you need to regain control of your body. Relax your jaw, lower your shoulders, take several slow breaths, go for a walk, wash your face, sit quietly. Not to suppress the emotion, but to stop being its unpaid driver. Anger is a terrible advisor, especially when it has access to your phone. 10 minutes later, Victor came back and asked a question he had almost never asked before. "What exactly did you hear in my words?" She answered, "That my opinion does not matter to you." Victor was surprised. That was not what he meant, but that was what she heard. And there is an important difference here. Intention and impact are not the same thing. You can step on someone's foot by accident. You did not intend to cause pain, but the foot does not become happier because of that. Victor said, "I did not mean to dismiss you, but I understand why it sounded that way." He did not admit that he was a monster. He did not abandon his own opinion. He simply acknowledged another person's experience. Understanding another person does not mean you have to agree with them. It means you can see their point of view without throwing your own into the trash. Every person has a private map of the world. That map marks who can be trusted, what counts as danger, what love means, what betrayal looks like, which words cause pain. That map did not appear by accident. It was drawn by parents, school, culture, past relationships, victories, humiliations, and events you may know nothing about. When someone reacts too strongly, it does not always mean they are a bad person. Sometimes you accidentally stepped on a place that has been hurting for years. But it is important not to fall into the opposite extreme. Understanding someone else's pain does not mean allowing them to hurt you. A person may have had a difficult childhood, but that is not a lifetime subscription to treating others badly. Trauma can explain behavior. It does not always excuse it. People usually see only two options: attack or surrender. But there is a third path: calm strength. You can say, "I understand that you are angry, but you cannot speak to me in that tone." Or, "I am willing to discuss the problem. I am not willing to discuss insults." Or, "We have different opinions. I do not have to agree with you in order to treat you with respect." That is not weakness. Weakness is allowing your behavior to be controlled by anyone who knows how to make you angry. Calmness does not mean defenselessness. A kind person can set boundaries. A loving person can leave. An understanding person can say no. Sometimes the most peaceful action is ending a conversation in which only one side is interested in peace. A few days later, Victor was driving to work again, and once again, someone cut in front of him. The familiar anger appeared instantly. But this time, Victor noticed it before he hit the horn. He thought, "I do not know why this person did that. Maybe the driver was distracted. Maybe they were rushing to a hospital. Maybe they were simply an idiot." The third possibility cannot be completely ruled out, but Victor understood the main point. He did not have to turn someone else's mistake into his own ruined day. He slowed down, he took a breath, and he kept driving. The driver ahead did not change. The world did not become perfect. Victor simply stopped handing strangers the keys to his nervous system. We never see another person completely. We see a few words, one action, one look, one mistake. But behind every person is an entire world we know nothing about. This does not mean everyone is good. It does not mean you must tolerate everyone. And it does not mean evil will disappear if you ask it politely enough. Sometimes you need to defend yourself. Sometimes you need to leave. Sometimes you need to ask for help. But before attacking, it is useful to ask yourself 3 questions. What do I know for certain? What am I adding to the story? Is there another possible explanation? These questions will not make you weaker. They may stop you from starting a war over something that may never have happened. Kindness and love are not naivety. They are the conscious choice not to increase the amount of pain in the world. And respect is the ability to see a human being in another person, even when they are wrong, even when you are wrong. Especially when both of you are certain that the other person is the problem. The world is more complicated than it seems. People are too, and that is good news. Because if our first interpretation can be wrong, then not every insult requires revenge. Not every conflict means betrayal. And not every person who hurt us intended to do it. Sometimes it is enough to stop, ask, Listen, set a boundary, and refuse to become a monster just because someone else behaved badly today. Because cruelty passes easily from one person to another, almost like a virus, only without sick leave. Someone has to break the chain. Sometimes that person can be you.